There's a common instruction given in Kung Fu styles which tells you move from the center, yeah? Move from this area. So when you're doing your movements, the instruction is to move from the center. This is correct, yeah? You need to move from the center. But there comes a stage in your training where the movement doesn't actually start from the center. Something else can trigger the center to begin the movement. So at some point in your training, after you've transformed the body by creating the lines, by creating the stretches, going through the foundation level of the I Ching Jing, you actually start to create what we call triggers, or what in Western occultism is called sigils, yeah? Or in Eastern traditions is called mudras. You can use shapes and subtle movements to trigger the body to align in a certain way, for the tissues to align a certain way, for the chi to move a certain way, for your attention, your awareness and your intention to just work all together. So a certain small movement, a certain small trigger, your body will just go, ah, we've done this 1,000 times, this is what he wants me to do, yeah? This is what he wants everything to work towards. And in the White Crane system, we have so many of these triggers, and we train them in the forms at the beginning, and it's often not explained and not well understood that these are actually triggers to get everything aligned into one. So for example, in the Shirt San Tai Bao form, which is one of our earlier forms that we learn in our syllabus, in our Tiger Crane combination syllabus, what we do is we after we go to the opening, we step forward, our hands are here, and what we want to do is we're going to do a 45-degree turn to the side. What most people do is they go to this position and they turn their waist. But there's something else you can do, yeah? What you can do is, if you've trained this stretch here enough, all I need to do is a subtle stretch here. I don't know if you can see that, it's very small, you should be able to see it, is I'm kind of seating this part of my wrist and palm down into that direction. And that creates a stretch inside, it creates a reprogramming inside that tells my body to turn that way. So I'm not actually moving from the center. Well, I am moving from the center, but I'm not. The movement doesn't initiate from the center, it initiates from the extremity. And then that tells the center, this is what he wants me to do. So the body changes. That's one example of how to use subtle movement to cause change, yeah? So for example, you might see some high-level push hands practitioners. So if they're pushing hands, you might see them extend one finger, yeah? So they're doing this, and there's this position, right? This finger position. So this finger position, so we have a form in our White Crane system called Shaolin Golden Finger. And what we're doing is, it's often advertised, oh, you're using the finger to strike pressure points and all of this stuff. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Probably need a very strong finger and do years of finger conditioning. But a more hidden teaching of what we're doing with this is we're allowing this stretch to direct, again, all of our insides to do a certain thing. So because we've evolved that pointing in a certain direction, pointing at a certain thing, takes our attention to it, and also takes everyone else's attention to it. So if we're in a group and I go, I like this, everyone's going to go, huh? What's he pointing at? This point aligns all of our separate parts of our body and our energetic system to go in the direction of the point, yeah? So if I'm doing push hands with somebody, if I'm in contact with somebody, and if I just point in this direction, all of my internals, all of my postural muscles, all of my tissues, everything, all of my chi is going to go in that direction, yeah, in a very profound state of harmony. So when I touch my partner like this, the subtle cues through contact is telling my partner that way. So my partner will start going in the direction that I'm pointing to. And people who train that point will just touch, do this, for example, they'll touch, they'll point in one direction, and that will cause the person to go backwards. They might want the person to go down, so they'll touch and they'll point down, and the person will start just sinking down. So we have, you know, we have so many weird shapes in Kung Fu systems that people who don't really train traditional Kung Fu systems, what the hell is, what are these weird shapes for, you know? You've got these weird shapes like this. You know, so if I'm doing this, for example, that's like I'm pointing up and I'm pointing down. So I'm just telling my body, I want everything to compress into a line on the inside and balance out and stretch up and down. So this video is a bit of a mind dump. I didn't know how to structure it to explain this, but it's just, you know, the more you delve into your training, the more the smaller and the subtle things become so important. And if you're not learning this, and if you're not practicing this, then, you know, so much beauty from traditional Kung Fu systems is lost. So much beauty. You know, so much subtle changes. It just changes how your body reacts. And you can use these triggers. You know, you use these triggers, try it in your practice. You know, get your partner, tell him to help you. Don't going to punch you in your face and you're going to go like this and they're going to fly away. That's rubbish. Tell them to help you. Say, can you just hold your hand? I'm going to try and point and I'm going to try and do something, see what happens. You know, light touch on their arm and then just point in a certain direction. It has to be a light touch. Too heavy touch won't work. Very light touch, point in a direction and see what their body does, yeah? See how their nervous system and your nervous system has evolved to deal with these sigils, yeah? Or practice, where you're practicing your form, you know, you come into a position, spear hand, and then sink, and then just point in a certain direction and just listen to your body and see what happens to your body. So for example, if I just do a random shape, so I go to here, come back, come down. So this is it's not a random shape, my body moves in white crane. So this is a position for my crane system, and I've practiced it many times. But so if I go to here, and I'm just going to, for example, get my little finger side of my hand and tuck it under. And if I don't stabilize my balance, my body will move, you know? One, because the tissues are all connected through the training, you know, foundation training. So one movement in my little finger changes everything in my body. So that's causing the movement to throw me off balance. But also, if you want to talk in energetic terms, as I'm dropping my little finger down, I'm kind of telling my body I want the chi to go that way, all right? I'm kind of, because remember, if you're able to connect your palms to the insides of your body, as you do this, you know, you can control what's going on inside. So you can think about it in terms of the tissues realigning, or you can think about it in terms of chi, whatever your personal flavor is with training. So yeah, it's fun to explore, but it's also an important part of telling the difference between somebody whose body has really understood the system they're training and people who are just repeating shapes. Let me know what you think.